When the folder finally opened after 70 years of silence, the first page I saw was not a grand political decree. It was a short report written in neat official handwriting, dated December 1932. A village in the Poltava region. The local party activist noted that 3 children had been found in a house with no adults left alive. The oldest was 7. They had been eating the bark from the fence and the leather from an old harness. Somber. The report ended with a single line. Bodies collected. Grain quota still not fulfilled. That was the moment everything changed for me. These were not rumors. These were the files the Soviet Union kept under the strictest secrecy for decades. Files that described how an entire nation was deliberately starved while the rest of the world was told that everything was fine. Determined. I want to take you through what those documents actually say because the truth is far darker than most history books ever allowed. In the autumn of 1932, the Soviet government raised the grain procurement quotas for Ukraine to levels that no one could meet. Even after the harvest was gone, the brigades kept coming. They searched houses with metal rods. They dug under floors. They tore open pillows looking for hidden seeds. If a family was found with a handful of grain, it was treated as theft of socialist property. The famous law of spikelets made it a crime punishable by 10 years in a camp or by death to take even a few ears of wheat left in the field after the official harvest. At the same time, the same government was loading ships with Ukrainian grain and sending them abroad for hard currency. Documents from the People's Commissariat of Foreign Trade show that in 1933, the Soviet Union exported hundreds of thousands of tons of grain, meat, butter, and even tomato paste while people inside the country were dying by the tens of thousands every single day. One report coldly notes that the export plan for food products from Ukraine was overfulfilled by more than 20% in some categories. People tried to leave the starving villages. They walked toward the cities hoping to find bread. On January 22, 1933, Stalin and Molotov signed a secret directive that ordered the GPU and local authorities to stop the exodus by any means necessary. Special barrier detachments were set up on the roads and railway stations. Peasants who were caught were turned back to their villages to die. The documents call them counter-revolutionary elements who are trying to spread panic. Inside the villages, the situation became unbearable. Official reports that were never meant for public eyes describe swollen bodies lying in the streets, children with the faces of old men, and cases of cannibalism. More than 2,500 criminal cases were opened specifically for cannibalism and the eating of corpses in 1932-1933. Some of those files still exist. They are among the hardest pages any human being can read. The 1937 census revealed the true scale of the losses. The numbers were so catastrophic that the results were immediately classified and the people who organized the census were arrested. Many of them were later shot. A new census was arranged in 1939 with instructions to hide the demographic hole. For almost 60 years, the official position was that there had been no famine, or that it had been caused by weather, or by the kulaks. Anyone who spoke about it risked the same fate as those who had tried to hide a few kilograms of grain in 1933. Hold on a second, friends. I know this video is very interesting, but I ask you to subscribe and put a like so that we can promote the channel and develop this kind of content. Thank you. Let's continue. The files do not stop with the famine. They open into an even wider system of secrecy and violence. In the summer of 1937, the NKVD received order number 0447. It was signed by Yezhov and approved at the highest level. The order set exact quotas for every region: how many people were to be arrested, how many were to be shot, and how many were to be sent to the camps. Local chiefs competed to exceed the numbers. Troikas of 3 men sentenced people in minutes without lawyers, without witnesses, often without even seeing the accused. In 2 years, roughly 1,600,000 people were arrested. Around 700,000 were executed. That is almost 1,000 people every single day for nearly 2 years. The execution sites still exist. Butovo near Moscow, Komunarka, Bykivnia near Kiev, Levashovo. The list of names were kept secret for decades. Families received formal replies that their relative had been sentenced to 10 years without the right of correspondence. In reality, that phrase almost always meant the person had already been shot. National operations followed the same pattern. Poles, Germans, Latvians, Greeks, Koreans, entire ethnic groups were targeted simply because of their nationality. Quotas again, arrest lists again. Many of those cases remained classified until the 1990s. Then came the deportations of entire peoples. In February 1944, Operation Lentil was carried out against the Chechens and Ingush. NK-5D troops surrounded the villages on the day of the Red Army holiday. People were given 15 to 30 minutes to gather what they could carry. They were loaded into trucks and then into freight cars that had no heat, no toilets, and almost no water. The journey to Kazakhstan and Central Asia lasted weeks. Official figures later admitted that about 150,000 people died during the transport and in the first years of special settlement. Similar operations were carried out against the Crimean Tatars, the Kalmyks, the Karachais, the Balkars, the Volga Germans, and others. More than 3 million people in total were uprooted. Their republics were erased from maps. Their names disappeared from encyclopedias. For decades, it was forbidden even to mention that these nations had once lived in their ancestral lands. The same culture of secrecy protected industrial disasters. The 1957 Kyshtym nuclear accident was hidden for almost 20 years. The 1979 anthrax leak in Sverdlovsk was officially blamed on contaminated meat. The true scale of Chernobyl was concealed for days while the radioactive cloud drifted across Europe. Even the existence of the automatic nuclear retaliation system known as perimeter or dead hand was kept secret until the 1990s. What unites all these files is not simply the scale of the suffering. It is the deliberate decision to hide it. The Soviet system treated information itself as a weapon. As long as the document stayed locked, the official story could continue. School textbooks could speak of achievements. Propaganda could claim that the people lived better and better every year. The dead remained invisible. When the archives finally began to open after 1991, historians found not isolated mistakes but a consistent pattern. Orders from the top, quotas, lists, reports written in bureaucratic language that described the death of millions as the fulfillment of plans. And for 70 years, those papers were guarded as state secrets. Looking at the whole picture, the Soviet Union was not only a country of industrialization and victory in war, it was also a country that perfected the art of erasing its own crimes from the memory of its citizens and from the knowledge of the outside world. The files show that the secrecy was not accidental. It was policy. It was necessary for the system to survive. I have only shown you a small part of what those documents contain. There are still more folders, more lists, more names that have never been spoken aloud in public. What do you want to hear about next? Should we open the files in the psychiatric prisons, or the biological weapons programs, or the full story of one of the deported nations? Write in the comments. I read every one of them. Until the next meeting on this channel, stay curious and never stop asking what was hidden.